Right, I am Cuervo27, and we are back with another video sketchbook. This one for January of 2024. Uh, Getting it out just a smidge late, but yeah, busy month. Um, but as you can see in this video, it's pretty much just time lapses. I might throw in some image stills here and there, but this month, the majority of this month was focused entirely on constructive figure drawing, or a focus on being much more constructive in my approach. And for a long time, my drawing has just been lacking in that sort of that area, just having more constructive drawing. And um, I'm not even quite sure what that means, but I feel as though I've gotten a lot better about it. And you know, uh, what's driven me behind so much work here is just I want to be able to draw figures from memory or imagination. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just to be able to master a simple mannequin, or be able to break down the shapes of the human body into simple recognizable shapes that are easy enough to place in a fixed or illusory perspective. So just boxes, cubes, cylinders, spheres. And everyone can have their own sort of personalized mannequin, but more and more I try to make something a little more um, believable in terms of like dimension and like just parts connecting, and sort of if you're familiar with Bridgman at all, he talks about wedging and sort of passing and overlapping shapes. But the idea is that, you're sort of arranging all these shapes in, the uh, the form of an arm or a leg or rib cage. But anyways, you're seeing right now time lapses all taken from Clip Studio Paint. There's a built-in feature where you can record whatever it is you put on your canvas mark by mark. It only records the strokes, so the time lapses don't record necessarily how long you have the canvas open, just each mark you make within that, I suppose, while you have the file open or the canvas open. So a lot of these you're seeing I've sped up quite a bit, but the majority of them are from about an hour and a half to 2.5, sometimes 3 hours, And I was doing this just about every day, for at least about 2 weeks straight, and then about nearly every other day. But yeah, and you can see just warming up beforehand with like some simple shapes and perspective, just to sort of get my mind sort of in that, I guess you could say, sort of thinking state, or just trying to think about, placing these forms in perspective, designing the form, not copying from the reference I'm looking at. And speaking of reference, a lot of I think the first week when I was doing this, I was using a website called Figurosity, where it's an archive of all these 3D modeled like characters in different sort of positions and poses and stuff, sometimes with props. And you can change the lighting, the texture on their skin, but it's very helpful in terms of just being able to sort of recognize the human form in simple shapes. And they also have a built-in like timed pose feature, which is really beneficial. Otherwise, after about that, I switched up and started using the gesture drawing app I have. And I have more than enough reference on my computer for figure drawing. So I would just load that up and again, start with 30-second poses, moving on to 1 minute, 2 minute fives. The majority of what you're going to see here, like the longest poses, are fives. Like these right here, probably fives. Occasionally I get like a 10 in there. But I just wanted to focus on being able to like build and construct, the figure effectively, just sort of decently, so that I can sort of start building, characters and scenes with only the littlest bits of reference that I need, maybe for clothing or accessories or environments and stuff. So I don't know. I just think, the ability to draw human figures in space, doing whatever you want. Just it gives you so much power in terms of what you can do with your artwork and illustrate, and just really fun. So, yeah, gonna take a little coffee sip here. Give me one sec. Okay, hopefully that didn't pick up too bad on the mic. But yeah, so anyways, January. January was crazy. It's been really rainy here, but um, not so bad. Um, yeah, and yeah, I wish I had more to say. I literally was just, I joke this is like my constructive drawing like fighting arc, just in this January, but I rarely broke away to just do very much else. I sort of tag or like write, and all over the canvas just to fill up negative space, have a little bit of extra fun, and just sort of break up the tedium a little bit. But surprisingly enough, a lot of this was like kind of fun in terms of being able to start designing your own shapes, and your own rhythms. Um, and again, I was trying to focus on the construction of the figure, not necessarily gesture, although gesture is very important in terms of the rhythm of the body and the flow of like the movement. It's very important in terms of describing, you know, something with character. But using that as a framework to then sort of construct, um, it's difficult at first. There's definitely a bit of a learning curve, but it's one of those things that I sincerely wish I had spent more time doing when I was younger and just sort of knocking all these things out. I've done a lot of this before, but not to this sort of degree of focus with this sort of intent. I've done plenty of figure drawing before, but I just sort of did it a little aimlessly, thinking it's like, well, if I do this, I'll get better, which, to a degree is true. But I wasn't necessarily like, I can't wait to do all this practice so I can draw figures from imagination or for character poses or designs. But now I think that would be really cool. I want to be able to draw, figures effectively in my own work. And yeah. So, there's a nice little progression here. Um, I'm getting better about um, focusing on simple shapes, simple volumes, just trying to recognize the space the body takes up in space. And I don't know, maybe that sounds a little rambly, but yeah, this is it's kind of hard to describe because it's like you don't necessarily want to approach drawing every single figure with like boxes and things like that. It could lead to like a stiffening, but just being able to sort of see organic masses more simply, just helps you in terms of establishing and being able to see and visualize things creatively that much more easier. Hopefully that makes sense. It doesn't sound too convoluted. You draw enough of these things, you'll get good enough at drawing people however you want. That's the logic. That's how I hope the maths. But moving right along, um, I try to stick to just a sort of pen-like brush. I think it's called either the Milli pen or the felt marker or felt pen in Clip Studio Paint. It's just a stock standard brush. But I wanted to try to do this in the same sort of vein of like working with pen or marker, trying not to undo if I can help it, and trying to focus and make each mark count more, try not to be as messy, but I'm giving myself two colors in the longer poses to sort of like build up a more finished constructed figure. And even then, I'm not trying necessarily to get the whole thing. I'm trying to describe it accurately. So you'll see some where it's just partly finished, or maybe a third of it's finished. And again, just trying to capture everything simply but accurately. And then once you can do that, you start throwing a little bit of stank on it, and you start feeling your own rhythms and your own flows and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think another thing this really helped me out with was my line confidence. I started realizing, if you have a solid grasp on just making straights, C's, and S lines, and just remember to be conscious about using those lines and using them confidently. Um, I think you can get, I think you can have a fun experience, to say the least. At least I did. Um, but yeah, I like it because I felt like um, I was getting more not only accurate but confident with my mark making. Um, and yeah, I think that's something you can do in both digital and traditional medium. I'm sure a lot of people would advocate for traditional medium, but I love digital. I like the less waste, less time to set up, but that's just my own personal preference. And yeah, still warming up here, doing some things. So you might see some of these clips where I break away from my croquis sessions or my figure drawing sessions to sort of like play around or warm up or mess with like what I've been learning in terms of like shapes, placing them in perspective, their volumes, the contours wrapping around them, and just sort of trying to play with that a little bit, not put too much pressure on it, but still, proud of myself. I have pretty good focus here. Oh, and just for those who are curious, this is a canvas that's 16 by 9 at 300 DPI. Um, that's normally what I run. It's just I don't work zoomed out. When I'm doing figure drawing timed like this, what I'll normally do is zoom into about 50% and sort of work in a sort of framed space and shift left for the next pose, shift left to down, and so just sort of fill up the page. And you can kind of see that pattern throughout here. Uh, yeah, just again, reiterating what I've been learning in the past, half a year or so, or 6 months, just, having an intention or a focus with your practice or just your art can do so much more of the work for you and yield, fantastic results. It's very easy to get distracted and want to like, it's like, oh, I could draw it now and throw some tone over it. But, being able to just stick to what you're studying until you've got it down before breaking away to that more like fun, challenging stuff that looks cool, I don't know, like earning the frosting on the cake. Does that make sense? I don't know, maybe it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like working on a completely just 100% white background. I try to tone it with a little bit of like yellow or orange, but sometimes I'll switch it up. But yeah, it's kind of nice just because it's not so bright. And yeah, I wish I had more to say about this. I just really just focused on my constructed figure drawing. Hopefully you guys all had a nice January though. Bit of a hard time for artists, it would seem, that whole thing with the riot layoffs where, it's I'm not dying necessarily to work at Riot or in the games industry per se, but you would ask anybody who I've ever met, Riot's the place that everyone wants to work. And when you see stuff like that, it's like, ooh, um, well, that's not a good feeling. And then it's just like you sort of see it almost simultaneously at other studios with Blizzard and Activision, just left and right. So many artists and just incredibly talented people getting laid off. But I guess that's how the industry goes. But just sort of surreal because the one place everyone wants to work, something happened that I guess a lot of people wouldn't sort of expect in terms of their demeanor as a company. But I guess, you know, I guess that's just how it goes. I don't want to be one of those people. It's like, oh, capitalism. But, it's just when profits incentivize you to do something, it's is what it is. I guess you could say the same thing about ArtStation, but I don't know. Is this too controversial? I don't think so. Uh, yeah, still drawing, yeah, and taking more time to sort of warm up and make sure I'm drawing from more of the shoulder, trying to be more confident. You see a lot more of those C's and straights and S's and just um not not being afraid to just have fun with what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be work. You can enjoy the process, but I think, everyone sort of has to find what it is they might enjoy about that. Um, if you're going to go on a hike, some people enjoy seeing the flora and the fauna. Some people enjoy, getting exercise outdoors. But, you know, um, everybody's got their own sort of different itch to scratch. But these are looking pretty good. I kind of like that one. This is pretty good. Um, Another thing I've noticed is don't be afraid to save your work. If you're not saving your work, what does it say? Like, it's one thing to say, oh, well, it's practice, it doesn't matter, but it definitely matters. It really, really matters. And not only that, not just saving your work, but saving your work so you could actually like see it and look at it. Um, with my ADHD, it's easy to fill up 6 or 7 layers like this and then just sort of think like, I don't know, did I really get much done today? Did I, really apply myself? But looking back at all of these, it's just like, yeah, the lines are solid. I'm not trying to scratch anything out. I'm trying to figure it out, and the forms are reading, for, yeah, most of them seems like. And I feel happy with my progress. It's I don't know. It's a journey, I guess, and hopefully everyone else is enjoying theirs just as much as I am. But yeah, hopefully, um, this exercise will lead me to being able to, draw, not only people more effectively, but be able to sort of command that and hopefully take this sort of mindset with figure drawing and take it to like drawing animals or maybe props or cars or vehicles or mecha, just because it's a good foundation and just a good sort of follow through in terms of trying to, figure something out in regards to proportion, movements, mechanics. It's one thing to pick up an anatomy book, right, and see what a muscle looks like, but if you look at a photo of like someone lifting or like playing a very athletic sport, it's just there's different movements and mechanics involved, and just getting a different sense of things and seeing from different perspectives. And a lot of that comes back down to your curiosity and your desire to actually want to know about it. So, yeah, just staying focused and just motivated. And again, I don't want to call it like a New Year's resolution. I just decided like I want to be able to draw figures from imagination in 2024. In order to do that, I'm gonna have to do a fuckload of figure drawing. So I just got on it, and yeah, I'm probably gonna keep doing this to a degree. After these about 2.5 weeks or so, probably spent the better part of 3 weeks of January just you know focusing just on this, just trying to like get that groove going and just have a sense of it. And I feel like I've gotten something. But moving past this, I'm starting to just construct figures from reference in longer poses and longer time frames, and then I'm starting to play with like shadow, lighting, and accessories, clothing, stuff like that. So it's, a simple progression, but I'm liking where I'm going, and it feels good. It looks good. And I'm glad I took the time to document it, because it's reassuring and reaffirming. So, um, sometimes I feel stress about this YouTube channel, and then I remind myself that I'm making it for myself. This is a video sketchbook. If anything else, this is just as much an account for myself as anybody else who would find it entertaining. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up, finish my coffee, and go play Borderlands 3 with my significant other. But if you enjoyed the content and my rambling, uh, that's awesome. I appreciate you. And if not, thanks again for giving me a shot. I hope you have a great day. And if you're an artist, don't be afraid to keep drawing, keep creating, just for yourself or whoever else. It's important. Art is it's a humanity, and without it, we lose ourselves. So don't ever forget it. And try not to forget yourselves. Um, yeah, be good.